You ready to go? Okay, reconvene our regular meeting following our executive session. First item on the agenda was actually item 4 is President's Announcements. I have really only one thing that I wanted to make sure everybody knew about, and that is the House, the reconciled budget bill was passed by both the Senate and the House, the Joint Committee, the Senate and the House, and the Senate and the House both passed it overwhelmingly. And what that means to us is the Senate backed down from its version of the school funding bill in favor of the House version of the Fair School Funding Bill. However, it's only a 2-year program. So they're going to end up having to revisit it again in 2 years. So we're not out of the woods yet. We certainly have a start in the right direction as far as Fair School Funding Bill. And I really wanted to let people know that the difference between the two approaches, the House took 3 years and gathered mountains of data and really did a great deal of work to come up with their plan. And the Senate took about 3 months to try to take it completely apart and redo it. So I'm really happy that the Joint Committee was able to establish the Fair School Funding Plan, and they've sent the budget now to Governor DeWine to sign, and it probably will be a while because he has the opportunity to line item veto things. And I think there's some things in there that he's probably going to still want to whack out. The other significant change in the budget is a substantial increase in school vouchers and the way they're funded. School vouchers will no longer be funded by each district that's affected by the vouchers. It's now going to be in the state budget itself, which means that all school districts' funding is liable to be cut in order to afford the increase in vouchers. So again, we're certainly not out of the woods yet, and I really encourage everyone to contact their senator and their state reps, let them know to continue the Fair School Funding Program and make it permanent. And that's my comments for this evening. Board member committee reports, item 5. Financial liaison audit committee, Mark, Kathleen.
Nothing new to report.
Permanent improvement committee, Ellen, Mark.
Nothing new to report, but we hope to have some updates in July. There's a lot going on currently with respect to that committee.
The board policy committee, I'm happy to say that we passed our policies, our updated policies last month, and I think we're probably good until fall. Sustainability committee, Ellen.
I do have a brief update, compliments of Mr. Code, who isn't here today, who provided a summary of sustainability measures that are currently in place in the district. And he really went over a couple different areas: facilities use and food services. And just to go through a few bullet points of what we're doing with facilities use and sustainability is the replacement of our 4 50-plus-year-old elementary schools with a state-of-the-art school that's being constructed in accordance with LEED, not necessarily to be certified LEED, but it's going to meet some better ecological, it's going to be better ecologically than our the 4 buildings that the students will be, no longer using after next year, because embedded in LEED certification and construction are optimized building energy performance, minimize site disturbance, rainwater management, heating and cooling efficiencies, and water management, just to name a few. Also, in the past few years, the district has been focusing significant resources on improvements to LED lighting projects, exterior door replacement, and roof replacement. And this also helps sustainability because it improves indoor air quality and contributes to energy savings. With the installation of every new roof in the school district, the R value, which is a measure of how well a 2-dimensional barrier resists the conductive flow of heat, is improving to at least a minimum building standard for the region. And in most cases, it's exceeding this standard due to the installation of additional tapered insulation to remove standing water from our flat roofs. And when compared to what the existing R value of 15 or less was, this is a very significant improvement. In case people don't know, the production and import of R22 refrigerant is illegal in the US as of January 2020, and that refrigerant is currently used in many school districts' AC systems, with the exception of this building and the middle school main office. But there are plans in place to replace these systems and bring them up to current building codes. And this change will automatically improve the sustainability footprint of the district by enhancing the energy management capabilities in the system and improving indoor environmental comfort. The school district recently replaced the halogen lighting in the high school and middle school auditoriums with LED lighting. The high output fluorescent light fixtures in the high school main and auxiliary gyms was also replaced with LED lighting. So all of the school district facility improvements that have taken place recently or that are planned for the next couple of years, such as roofing, windows, doors, are all going to make our school buildings more sustainable. With respect to our food services, prior to the pandemic, the district had incorporated tray washings in all of the elementary school buildings, but during COVID, that was not permitted. So we hope to be doing that again this coming school year. Plastic packaging is in the process of being switched out, and food service is always looking for environmentally friendly wares. The paper vendor used by the district has been contacted to stock more sustainable and affordable products. Paper food boats are used when feasible, and food services is looking at paper cups when those are able to be used as opposed to styrofoam or plastic. Farm to school is used when applicable, and food services ordering from several local companies, including Quarry Hill, Cerna, and Premier One Produce. Food services applied for and was awarded a farm to school grant recently of $2,000 to offset the cost of some local foods. And this past school year, there were 2 farm to school days, one in connection with Earth Day, where lesson plans were incorporated as to where the products came from and the sustainability of using local products. All local produce and products from the West Side Market and Oberlin Food Hub were used. Vegan options were recently added to the high school menu and will be rolled out to the middle school soon. Plastic straws are no longer used, and most of the paper products used in our food services are recyclable, although students and other school staff are responsible for actually following through on implementing this. And each of the buildings, Highland, Hilton, Chippewa, the middle school and the high school, is responsible for their own recycling program. So we, at some point, perhaps we'll get principals or building administrators input as to what they're doing with respect to recycling. But that was just a quick update of some of the sustainability measures that are being practiced in the district.
Thank you. Item number 6, district committee reports. Transportation Appeals Committee.
No appeals.
Cuyahoga Valley Career Center report. Jim Gilbride, Ellen.
Mr. Gilbride just said everything's fine. He should have a more elaborate report in September when school is back in session. He'll be at our September meeting.
Safety and Security Meeting report. We will be back in when the school starts to. Schools Foundation report, Brittany.
Just one note, I believe I brought it up last month. The Schools Foundation will be putting on the uphill downhill run again this year. This year it'll take place on August 24th. It'll take place in the evening on the high school campus and the district campus here between the middle school and high school. Some more information will be posted on their BBHSF website to come. So plans are underway.
Thank you. PSO report. PSOs are out for summer. They'll be back in September as well.
Fred, I do have a quick revision to what I said. At the last meeting, Mrs. Wegman had asked about student retention at CVCC, and Mr. Gilbride said that those are updated in the fall. So he will have that information at the September meeting. And he also wanted to announce that all the union contracts there have been signed for the next 3 years. And to compliment Mr. Mangus there on doing a terrific job of building a strong relationship with the unions.
Great.
Any other board member reports? Okay. Item number 7, Superintendent's Announcements.
Thank you, Fred. Just a shout out to all of our teachers and people who are participating in our ESY camps and our enrichment camps. They are going very well. Kids seem to love it. We've seen them walk up the hill a couple of times. Their nature camp, the teacher who's running that said it should be called the walking camp because they keep walking from the high school to the metro parks every day. But they all seem to be having a blast. So we also, in line with that, we had talked about running our enrichment camps the first couple of weeks in August. We have just received preliminary test data to start making those recommendations to those parents whose students may qualify for those enrichment camps. So please, I'm sorry, the intervention camps in August. Yeah, I already said the enrichment, the intervention camps in August. So parents should start to receive notification if their child will be invited to those camps, because as we had stated before, we're going to reserve those intervention camps for kids based on a variety of data points, one of which was our latest state testing scores that we have just received. And we will start notifying parents and inviting them to those camps here over the next couple of weeks. So look for that to come. And mentioning our test scores, there was a lot of, concern and wondering how our kids would do given the state of our school year this year, starting in hybrid and then going to remote learning and then coming back in person. And our preliminary scores show that we did better in some cases, and in some cases, we did do a little bit worse. Dave was gracious enough to analyze some local districts. We're seeing the same pattern in most of the districts, where some areas are the same. There have been some significant drops in school districts, unfortunately. And, there's definitely across the state, parents who, chose to do remote learning and opted not to have their kids participate in state testing, which also then impacts what your final data is going to look like. We in our district had a record number of parents opt out of testing. So based on that and looking at what our preliminary scores look like, I think we're in pretty good shape. None of our scores are really low, like indicated in some of our other districts that we compare ourselves to that might have been really low in one area. So pretty proud of what our teachers were able to do and our kids were able to perform. So kudos to our entire staff for really pulling together during the most hellacious time in education right now and really getting our kids to where they need to be. So we're really proud of all of them. So good for you. And thank you to everyone for doing that. A shout out to Heidi as we get ready for the new school year. We are required to go through an annual inspection of all of our buses. And I'm pleased to say that Heidi shared with us that all of our buses passed inspection. So we're all ready to go for the fall to transport our kids. And just wanted to give you an update as Fred did on the budget bill. There was also the school report card reform bill that passed, which is House Bill 82. That's going to have some significant changes to our state report card. Many of you may know that I sit on a state committee for report card reform and actually led a charge on the K-3 literacy measure. And we were finally able to get in enough legislators' ears to make some significant changes that will take place, I believe, with the 23 report card. Just some high-level things that House Bill 82 hits. It decreases the number of rated measures from 14 to 6. So we're currently rated in 14 areas. It will reduce it to 6. They're getting away with the letter grade. So we were going to a 5-star system based on performance rather than an A-F grading system. It adds supplemental descriptors and arrows. So they will, if you have 3 stars, you might have an arrow showing that you're trending upwards or an arrow showing that you're trending downwards. And so a much easier report card for our families and for us as educators to understand and be able to explain. It will use a user-friendly overall rating that summarizes the performance across the report card. It won't necessarily be an overall letter grade, but it'll be an overall grade for the actual district. And it's looking at students' year-to-year academic progress. It's going to count more heavily in the overall rating. Right now, it doesn't look at the individual students year to year. It takes a cohort of students and then compares it to last year's cohorts of students, and they're actually different students. So it's going to have some more student-to-student year-to-year academic progress. And except for the graduation component, it makes improvements to every other component of the report card. So graduation mark will pretty much stay the same as it is now, how we're calculating that overall percentage of our kids that are graduating. But we will have more information on this as it comes available, but this is just what was passed. There's a lot of work, a report card committee that will be engaging in the work to show exactly what these things would look like. But just wanted to give you that update that changes to come to our state report card.
It sounds good to get off the letter system and onto that star system.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Joelle. Item number 8, treasurer's announcements.
I'm at full mental capacity right now as we close the fiscal year. So I will be focusing on the budget bill. I mean, you said a lot of those key points earlier, so I'll probably update more on the budget bill after we go through some more deep dives into that. We have there's several webinars that are scheduled already for tomorrow and then next week. So there's a lot of stuff going on. We are closing out the fiscal year right now on our new software. It has gone well. It's just a little stressful, but things are going well. And we're starting to see some of those improvements and efficiencies in the system already. So that's all I got.
Okay. Item number 9, community communications, hearing of the public. Persons wishing to address the Board of Education may do so at this point. No formal action will be taken on subjects that are not included in this agenda until the board has had an opportunity to study them. Comments regarding personnel must be submitted in writing through the office of the superintendent. In order for the board to complete the planned agenda in an effective and efficient manner and to provide sufficient opportunities for members of the public to be heard, hearing of the public shall be limited to a maximum of 30 minutes, during which each speaker shall be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. Is there anyone that would wish to address the board?
Is it green at the bottom or red? Oh, just push the button. Yep.
There you go.
Can you hear me now? Hello, my name is Lisa Galick. I live at 3440 Mark Drive in Broadview Heights. I'd like to read from a petition that's been written by a Brexel Broadview Heights parent. The parent, Gordon Gibb, was unable to attend tonight's board meeting, but he started circulating this petition yesterday morning, and so far it's been signed by 81 concerned Brexel Broadview Heights parents. He plans to email the full text of the petition and the names of the signers to the board and the administration after this meeting. It reads as follows. As concerned parents in the Brexel Broadview Heights School District, we feel it is necessary to affirm our support for continued mandated masking for students and educators to begin the 2021-22 school year. We believe this should continue until such point at which all students have had the opportunity to be vaccinated and to have cleared their window for vaccine efficacy. We ask the board and administrators to continue to consider the following points. The emerging Delta variant is estimated to be 60% more transmissible and more likely to lead to hospitalization in unvaccinated individuals, including 1 out of 10 children infected. With the schools back at full enrollment, true social distancing at 6 feet will not be consistently possible. The current state of Ohio vaccination rate is under 50%, which means that many of our students will be coming from homes where vaccination has not happened. In light of these facts, we ask that the board strongly consider the following. 1, continue to mandate masks for students, faculty, and staff in buildings that serve students who are not yet eligible for the vaccine, such as the elementary and middle school, to begin the 2021-22 school year. This includes common areas and before and after school activities, such as clubs and athletics. 2, continue this mandate until at least 90 days after the point at which all ages in the building are eligible to be vaccinated to ensure that all students have had an opportunity to receive their shots and reach the point of effectiveness as proven in clinical trials. 3, require proof of vaccination for all students, faculty, and staff in order to be admitted to any district building without wearing a mask. Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Don Kishmartin. I live on Kenwood Drive, Broadview Heights. My children went to Brexel Broadview Heights. My grandchildren are going to Brexel Broadview Heights. And I guess the question I have is one of curriculum. With everything that's been going on politically, I guess my question about our schools system is, are we getting involved in critical race theory in the 1619 project? I haven't heard anything, and I've just been wondering. It's my first meeting, and I thought I would bring it up and ask if, hopefully we're not going in that direction, but I'm just curious where our school board is at with regard to that.
Could you please sign in before you leave those?
Sure, sure.
Thank you for your comments.
Joel, is that something that you or Dr. Martin are able to follow up with Mr. Kishmartin on?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Okay.
My name is Brandy Demario, and I am a taxpayer, have 3 kids in the district. And one of my concerns is actually the petitions that were brought up by you. My concern is you have these petitions, they're going to be coming out on both sides, right? You have, how do you know that the people signing these are even in our district, number one? And I guess my concern is, are the families of the kids going to be heard, or is it just, on a piece of paper, I guess? And that's why I'm here, because, I normally don't talk or do any of this. That's why I'm a little shaky. But I guess everyone's going to fight about this. I feel like you can already see the writing on the wall. And it's sad and it's unfortunate, but it's true. And I guess I'm just begging and pleading with you all to make a strong and efficient decision quickly, because I don't think it's best to wait until just to see what everyone else does. And I don't know what you have talked about this summer. I'm sorry, I haven't been caught up to date, but so this is my first meeting this summer, but I really think you can all redeem yourselves from last year with the wishy-washiness and not making a decision in the fall. And, I definitely want my kids to go to school in the fall with no mandates. I've had many teachers. I have a daughter at the elementary school. I have boys at the middle school. And I've had many teachers come up to me and say, please, get the parents involved. We don't want to wear these masks. I don't know. It's very opposite from what the teachers union is saying. So I think, I'm also representing some of these teachers that they're awesome. They're awesome teachers. And I feel like I should say that. If you can go to the Indians game at full capacity and with no masks, and it doesn't matter if you're vaccinated or not, I think that the kids can go to school. Parma just came out and said that they weren't going to wear masks. I don't want to get into a debate. I really hope that you all come up with a decision and come up with it quickly. So I'm already seeing the fighting, you know what I mean? Like, I just want it to be done, and I want there to be a decision and to move forward. But that's pretty much it.
I have a question. When you say quickly, can you be more specific?
Well, as far as last year, I know, Miss Magyar had sent out her chart of what to follow, and then we were going to do that, and then all of a sudden we didn't, like that kind of thing. So I would hope that, at least before August, that you would have a decision, because there's always, that's the other thing. If you want your child to just do the online, if BBH isn't offering it, then they need to know as well to do the state online teaching. So I just feel like for everyone involved, no matter what DeWine says, like, I feel like if he left it up to you guys in last year, each district to come up with their own conclusion of what to do as time went on, then you can, do that as well.
So by quickly, you mean by the beginning of August?
Well, I would hope July, August, just,
okay.
End of July. I guess I just don't want this to be like a continued fight throughout the summer is all.
Okay.
But I don't know what I mean. I just don't want it to be like the week before school. And like I said, everyone's going to be fighting about this. So
Okay.
just put it to rest. That's what I'm kind of getting at.
Okay.
Thank you.
I agree with you. I just want to say, we don't have a meeting until August, though. I think, didn't somebody say August 10th? So,
We tentatively
I feel
scheduled for July 27th, I believe. It's still
21st.
21st, sorry.
we do. Okay, I saw something in Mrs. Magyar's update that said something to the contrary. But I agree. This is definitely something the school board should talk about sooner rather than later. I think people need the ability to make those decisions. And I'm hopeful that the leadership hears this and understands that this is something that, is going to affect which direction some parents are going to go.
Okay. Item number 10, other board business. A, rehire discussion. Anybody have any questions, any comments?
I guess raise my hand and jump in real quick. Fundamentally, I think it's important that we continue to build a pipeline of educators in our community. And so generally speaking, I am not in favor of the retire rehire model because I believe it thwarts the progress of getting new teachers into a district and into our classrooms. I think we've seen several reports over the last several years talking about how few students are going into the field of education. And I think we need to be cognizant that the students and future teachers that we have access to, we're able to get into our classrooms. That being said, as an opponent of retire rehire, generally speaking, in the sense that we have some opportunities on our horizon with the new elementary school opening, in particular, I think that there are favorable circumstances where a retire rehire would be favorable in order to ensure a smooth transition with staffing. And so I wanted to put that out there and make that statement that generally speaking, I am not for a retire rehire situation, but I think given some of the landscape and the opportunities that we have going forward, the retire rehire makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, over the years that I've been on the board, the retire rehire, I haven't really found anybody who likes retire rehire. Unfortunately, it's the state law that permits it. So the state creates the rules and then everybody has to play by them. So retire rehire is where you allow an employee to retire and you rehire them back in their same capacity, oftentimes at a less salary or compensation package because they start drawing on their retirement. That's part of their retire. And, the challenge that we've had over the years with this, and this has both been, on teachers and administration. On the teacher side, that's the ones that we've done over the years that I can recall usually are a temporary bridge. So it's not hey, we're going to let you retire, we're going to rehire you and you're going to stay as long as you want. It's hey, like we have a new building open or we're a transition, so we're going to do this for a year only. There's not a commitment to say you can keep coming back, indiscriminately. On the administrative side, whether it's anybody in the administrative capacity, you have to recognize if you have somebody who is really good, if they intend to retire, rehire, they will find a district to go to if you don't retain them. And then you're faced with potentially losing a very valuable resource and then having to pay to go find another one and maybe even pay more. So when you get down into the individual cases of retire, rehire, the concept by itself, most people can't stand it. It's like it doesn't make any sense. The problem is it's state law that allows school employees to retire, start collecting their pension, and then get rehired and basically make double dip, right? 2 salaries. So those rules, most people don't like them. But when you're actually in the board capacity and you're faced with the decision with hey, we could bring back this stellar teacher for 1 year bridge, at a reduced cost from what we have, then those types of situations, or maybe it's a principal or somebody that you're looking at doing it with, you look at it through a little different lenses when you're on the board and you're like, hey, wait a minute, we could lose this valuable resource or we could retain them at a lower cost. And if we choose to let them go, we're going to end up having to pay more and get an unknown quantity or an unknown person back who may not be as good as who you left. And that person, if they intend to retire, rehire, which is their legal right within the state laws, they'll go find another, they'll get picked up by somebody else. So anyway, that's just some comment over the years because I couldn't stand doing retire, rehire when I first got on the board too. And then you're faced with individual circumstances and it's like, well, look, there's a financial component to it if you don't do it. There's a talent component to it if you don't do it. And you have to kind of weigh all of those things and maybe redirect some of your energy with the state who created the system and the laws that allow for this retire, rehire. They really need to fix the problem. Instead, we're just left to play by the rules that the state gave us.
I agree with Mark, and I also, Britt brought up a very good point about this bridge to our new elementary school. We can bring teachers back that have retired for a 1-year period of time, and they drop off our payroll, and we don't have to, if necessary, we don't have to cut teachers. They basically, we've set it up to have them cut themselves, which is a heck of a lot easier on the district and actually costs the district less and has less grief with our union at the same time. So both what Britt said and Mark makes sense to me. And I'm like Britt, I'm been opposed to retire, rehire, except when it benefits the district and benefits our taxpayers as well. Anybody else?
You are all very eloquent.
Well, thank you. Okay. Item 11, superintendent's other business. A, Cleveland Clinic Learner School for Autism contract. B, District ESC agreement. C, UCP contract. D, ESY ESC contract. E, Koinonia contract. I probably butchered the heck out of that. But I've always had trouble saying that. F, separation agreement. G, MOU for staff member. H, approval of superintendent's other business. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions about the?
Yeah, I have a couple questions.
Sure.
The 2 contracts with the Cleveland Clinic Learner School for Autism, are those for 2 brand new students, or did those
Current.
students?
Current.
So did those students attend?
Last year as well.
Okay, all right, so it's just a continuation. Okay, thank you. That was my only question.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Dosen,
Yes.
Mrs. Kramer,
Yes.
Mrs. Mack,
Yes,
Mrs. Wigman,
Yes.
Mr. Peterson.
Yes. Okay, item 12, superintendent's consent agenda. A, certified recommendations. B, classified recommendations. C, supplemental recommendations. And D, approval of superintendent's consent agenda. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
I will have some comments after your vote.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Dosen,
Yes.
Mrs. Kramer,
Yes.
Mrs. Mack,
abstain.
Mrs. Wigman,
Yes.
Mr. Peterson.
Yes.
Hi, thank you. I'd like to introduce you to a couple of people who are in our audience that will be joining our staff this year. First, I'd like to introduce you to Kelly Izo. She's going to be a new assistant principal at the high school. And so Kelly, if you'd like to stand up and tell a little bit about yourself and introduce who you brought with you.
Hi, my name is Kelly Izo. This is my husband, Mario. I'm so excited to be joining the Rexville Broadview Heights family. I'm originally from the Youngstown area, Niles, actually.
Ah.
But I came to Cleveland straight out of college when I started my teaching career in Strongsville. I taught in Strongsville and was an administrator there for 20 years. I did both middle school and high school. The bulk of my teaching experience was at the high school level. I taught French. And then I had the opportunity to move into administration where I was assistant principal at Strongsville and Center Middle Schools. And then 2 years ago, I had the opportunity to grow and go to Brandon Park. I really enjoyed my 2 years there. However, when the opportunity came to join the Rexville Broadview Heights family and go back to high school, I couldn't pass it up. So thank you so much. We also have 2 children. I shouldn't forget that, right? I have a son, John, who is going to be a college freshman at Lindenwood University in Missouri, and our daughter, Ava, is a sophomore. So thank you so much.
Welcome.
Welcome. Yeah, welcome on board.
Kelly. And next, I would like to introduce you, and he's not really a new employee, but to Josh Lopez. He is taking a new position for us in the district. Josh, you want to stand up? Josh has been with us for a couple years, and he's proven to be an outstanding worker for us. He's definitely top notch. He's credentialed in what he's going to be doing as our maintenance supervisor. And so Josh, if you want to say a little bit more, I won't steal all your thunder.
Sure. I work for a contractor out in Willoughby, doing heating and cooling. I started here about a year and a half ago in the maintenance department. I manage all the comfort control systems here, energy management systems, general maintenance, and I'm prior military, did 8 years in the United States Navy, did tours overseas, and excited to be here. Can't wait for the opportunity and can't wait for the
Anchors away.
And last but not least, and one of BBH's own, he will be joining us as a social studies teacher at the high school. I'd like to introduce you to Jonah Fichette. You want to stand up and tell us a little bit more than what I told?
I'm going to be a social studies teacher at the high school. I graduated in 2017 from Brandy Heights. I was prepared for my future.
We're so glad to hear that.
So, I want to be a teacher. I want to inspire future bees like I was. And I went to college at University of Akron. I got involved in everything I possibly could, expanded my horizons, met different people, and really found that education is my passion. I wanted to come back home. I wanted to be a bee again. And I'm very glad to be here. And I'm excited to see what we come to.
Well, go Zips. I'm proud to say I also am a graduate of the University of Akron. Okay, item number 13, Treasurer's Consent Agenda. Item A, Financial Report. Item B, EDU Tech Group Technology Contract. Item C, Property Casualty and Liability Insurance Coverage Proposal. Item D, Final Fiscal Year 21 Appropriations and Estimated Resources. Item E, Fiscal Year 22 Appropriations and Estimated Resources. Item F, Transfer Request. Item G, Donations. Item H, Minutes. Item I, Approval of Treasurer's Consent Agenda. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I was waiting for Brittany to second. She's been on a roll. It's my pen was in the wrong spot.
Mr. Uligos?
So I have to actually amend this because I don't know why it didn't save. On the fiscal 22, we will not do, it's not the estimated resources. So I will fix that. It's just the appropriations for fiscal 22. I thought I changed that, but that's why there's only one document there. So overall, from the financial status, as I've been saying since the pandemic started, I think we've done a really good job of managing our expenditures. We'll have all of that more about a full composite report at the next board meeting. Once we are kind of through this fiscal year, we're just going to close out the numbers to actually tomorrow morning. So tomorrow's gonna be a very long day for me. So we can get, I know that Dr. Martin here has some purchases he'd like to make tomorrow. Maybe Mrs. Tomasetti too. So we're trying to get the POs basically ready to go as quickly as possible, but we've managed our expenditures really well through this pandemic. Our revenues were down as they have been. We've had the same conversation, and I think that that's consistent for this last month. The EduTech group technology contract is replacing our contract with Madison Local Schools. There is no cost increase. It's an exact same contract that we had with Madison Schools. Property and casualty insurance, that's just what we do every year. And then we have our appropriations, and just like what that means is we're amending our final expenditures, what we brought in and what we expended out for the year. So those numbers are there for you in your amended certificate and budget adjustments or modifications. And then kind of to get us started for fiscal 22, we'll be doing some modifications probably in July or August to kind of just catch everything up once we finalize all of the budgets. The transfer request is for athletics. As we all know, that department was hit pretty hard. This was planned for in the 5-year forecast. We planned for about $100,000. We ended up requesting a total of $82,564.33 to move that money, and that does come from the general fund to cover those expenditures into athletics. We hope next year will be better as we can get back to some full capacity and football games, gate sales, all of those things will help the athletic department. The donations you have listed in front of you and the minutes. Are there any questions regarding finances for the month? Great.
Roll call.
Mr. Dosen.
Yes.
Mrs. Kramer.
Yes.
Mrs. Mack.
Yes.
Wigman.
Yes.
Mr. Peterson.
Yes. Item 14, closing announcements. Anyone?
Just want to wish everyone a happy 4th and enjoy your long weekend.
Roll call?
We would need a motion.
Well,
Oh, I'm
you
sorry.
want
adjourn?
I need-
you want to go to?
I need a
adjourn?
motion
You want
to
to, so,
adjourn.
so the announcement was our next board meeting is
Oh,
July
yes, I'm
21st.
sorry.
Are we still?
July
doing that
21st is our
unless
next
we-
board meeting, 7 PM.
Well, I would,
Yeah, I
Or
think
are
that
we
would
gonna-
be, it's going to be up for just,
We may.
We'll leave it for
we
now.
may alter a
We
date
may
or, yes.
But if we do have a board meeting.
Or if
it'll
we
be
do.
July
As of now.
21st.
One currently scheduled is for July 21st, subject to change possibly.
Roll call?
Well, you want item
motion to
B.
adjourn.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can't get to that. Roll call. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Dosen,
Yes.
Mrs. Kramer,
Yeah.
Mrs. Mack,
Yes.
Mrs. Wigman,
Yes.
Mr. Peterson.
Yes. Meeting's adjourned.
Thank you. 7:44.
Cindy.